Warning: Title 17 U.S. Code 512F provides penalties for the deliberate misrepresentation of copyright infringement. The owners and authors of this video, the common denominator, and the Paramystic Broadcast Channel are a nonprofit 501c3 exempt organization and believes in good faith that it constitutes educational fair use, as per Title 17 U.S.C. 107. Persons, agencies, attorneys, and or social media algorithms filing a false or frivolous Digital Millennium Copyright Act complaint may be subject to civil liability. Warning: the following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Accordingly, viewer discretion is advised. Well, happy Friday there, everybody. This is Cyber Warfare. Mostly going to be hitting a couple key news stories, and then going to open it up to a Q&A if anyone's got any questions. Hi, Sally. Finally got the computer and the microphone to work again. But we'll do that, and then 7 o'clock we will have a re-air or a pre-recorded airing again of Constitutional Truths and Consequences, where we went over the network programming. So, hi, Ruth. If anybody has any questions, tech related or just random questions about computers or anything like that, or how things will work out for you, or what you should do if you're having issues, just type it in the comments, and then I'll go ahead and I will get to them as we progress. So it's no surprise or news that I try to keep cyber warfare non-political, but sometimes it's desperately hard to do that. Our Mr. Joseph Biden willfully kept classified information in his garage in Wilmington, Delaware. And when he was questioned about it, he said, quote unquote, "I didn't want to turn them in." To give you an idea, these are in just regular cardboard boxes scattered throughout the garage. One of quite a few of them that were containing Senate documents were actually in a steel cabinet upright that did not have locks or anything else on it. It was open to anyone. And some of them actually contained classified documents on the war in Afghanistan. So all of that has been breached and out, and since they want to go after Donald Trump on 40 different criminal charges and up to 450 years in prison for the exact same thing, this would get written off as a quote unquote elderly man with a poor memory. Well, I don't think putting our national security at risk is a viable way for you to get by on I'm elderly and forgetful. We already know that you're on TV. Maybe you could help me out with something. I would like to uh, change my password of my Facebook. Yes. So what I will do is put it in the comments on how to change or reset your password. Um, and that will give you um, it will give you a straight line on how to do that step for step. So I'll put that in the comments for you. And it's honestly, it is very, very good policy. Uh, every 3 months or every 2 months, change your Facebook password. So that would be honestly a good deal for anybody to do um, with that. Uh, Chinese are in the news, no surprise. Chinese hackers operate undetected in US critical infrastructure for half a decade. So that means power, water, television signal, radio waves, and the transportation industry is what they have been in and hacking into. No surprise there that it's gone unnoticed. On Wednesday, the U.S. government said that the Chinese state-sponsored hacking group known as Volt Typhoon had been embedded in some critical infrastructure networks in the country for the last 5 years that they have been doing this. So that is seriously, seriously sketchy as far as that goes. And I have uh, my best friend Vincent's with us.
I didn't even get ready to do my hair or anything. Come on.
Oh, you want me to let you go to the powder room?
Oh, and I'm smoking a
Uh,
cigarette. You guys, yeah, I smoke cigarettes every now and then.
oh, you're okay. So
Ooh, I'm,
targets of the communication and energy, transportation, and water and wastewater system sectors have been infected by the Chinese, both in U.S. and in Guam. And the National Security Agency and the FBI um, was also backed by other nations as part of quote unquote Five Eyes intelligence agencies, compromising Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and parts of the UK that these people have also uh, been hacking into as well. Um,
you said something
Ruth
about water.
says,
Did you
"Hi,
say,
Vincent."
hey, did you say something about the water lines have been hacked into?
Okay. Yeah, so the infrastructure. Chinese hackers have operated undetected in U.S. critical infrastructure for half a decade. So it includes communication, energy, transportation, water, and wastewater.
Let me ask you this. What do you think about the possibilities of a fentanyl dump?
Anything's possible.
I'm
I
waiting for
mean,
that
at
one.
that point, it's chemical warfare if they do.
Because the Chinese have, of course, given that those chemicals to the cartel, and the cartel's manufacturing, bring it across the border. And
Yep.
what better way to hit our infrastructure real hard than some of these smaller towns and
Hmm.
big massive dose of?
Yeah, exactly.
I know you're talking about the computer system, but is that technology able to detect something like that?
as far as pollutants such as that or a spiked water supply system, unless you're actually testing for such things, I don't see how it would pick it up. Um, and you got to think, we're from the Midwest. There's water towers everywhere, and all it is a massive well. And they jack it up in the air so that gravity produces your water pressure that you get in your house. All it takes is someone to pop that hatch, and that entire tank is contaminated.
And you know that you said that very well, by the way. Thank you. Much easier than I would have been able to say it, but true. That's where we get our pressure through the pipelines of, and where you can have a water tower. And in the case of Cameron, to my knowledge, they're being fed water, believe it or not, from St. Joe, which is like 45 miles away.
Yep, because the well is deep enough and they add auxiliary pumps and they call it quote unquote rural water. Yeah, same
Yep.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yes, it is.
So then the next thing we have former CIA engineer sentenced to 40 years for leaking classified documents. A former software engineer with the U.S. intelligence agency has been sentenced to 4 years in prison for transmitting classified documents to WikiLeaks and for possessing child pornographic material. He was originally charged in 2018. He was found guilty in 22. On September of 23, he was convicted on all charges: receiving, possessing, transporting child pornography, in addition to the prison term. So he's been sentenced to a lifetime and gotten a slap on the wrist. He's actually been given lifetime supervised release, which I think is garbage. They should lock him up.
How is it
So
that
the other
how is it that they can get away with such light sentencing?
high profile. I mean, you think about it. Biden is on the hook now for stuff that he had sitting in his garage shortly before you popped in. Um, you know, like you and I had talked on the phone, he's got all these documents and some of them are literally battle plans for Afghanistan sitting in a box in the center of his garage, not under lock and key. And when he was asked why he didn't give them up, he said, I didn't want to. And what it's sadly going to come down to is there's 40 charges against Trump, and he's looking at 450 years in prison for the exact same thing.
Well, the other
Because
thing is, yeah, but the other thing is, Biden had a guy that was doing an autobiography of him,
true.
memoir, and that
So how
guy
much did that
also,
stuff?
yeah, that guy got rid of videos and everything else. I
Yep.
mean, this is the most corrupt government we've ever seen in America, hands
Yep.
down.
Absolutely. And it's going to sadly get written off as an elderly man with a poor memory.
And he's the one with the nuclear code.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
got the football.
Yep.
So we've got to be careful of this while you're using social media, such as TikTok, Twitter, things like that, because a lot of this has been coming up lately. Former TikTok executive sues the company for alleged gender and age discrimination. So effectively, not letting people under quote unquote 16, 17, 18 years old to be on TikTok and restricting them. So he's not even part of it anymore, but he's seen a loophole. And once he had left, decided to go back and sue him. And, if there's people on it anyway, I mean, there is Facebook too. Kids get their parents to go on and lie for them and say this is their age and shows that they're 18 years old. Because if you look at the bylaws of Facebook, you have to be 18 years old to have an unrestricted account on Facebook. If you can sign one up for your child, but it is there's an umbilical cord tethering it to your account as the parent, so you can actually see and control what they're doing if you actually set it up right. A lot of parents
Shouldn't
aren't doing that. They're just cutting them loose on Facebook.
shouldn't there be shouldn't the parents be held accountable? I mean, when you think about it, a child
I
gets
think they
abducted.
should.
Yeah,
I think they should, because
a
they're
child
not going
gets
to do
abducted.
anything to Mark Zuckerberg, because he's making it, quote unquote, as safe as his policy can at this point. If the utility tool is there and it calls for a hammer and you try and use a saw, it's not going to work. Checks and balances are in place and instruction for a reason. You don't use a Phillips screwdriver on a standard screw. It just don't work.
No, but
There's going to be issues.
the thing that I wanted to say is this though. It's always a parent that's crying that their child, quote unquote, got abducted or whatever, when the parent is obviously not paying attention to what their child's doing, and the child
Yep.
places himself in the danger of a predator. And in doing so, the parent wants us to come to their, and don't get me wrong, I think it's tragic that it happens naturally. But a parent wants us to come and help them find their kid, because when I think you had spoken about this, I think it's pretty good maybe to think about 14 years old. You shouldn't have access to the internet.
Hmm.
I mean, really restricted completely. And then from
Yeah, I
14 to
I totally
18,
agree.
and then from 14 to 18, you have to have parental discretion or consent. But how can we put those law? I mean, what would it take to put those kind of laws into place now? Or is it
You could
impossible?
you could put the law in there all you want. Actually, it's in terms and conditions on Facebook. If it becomes law, you're going to have a hard time, you know,
No, then it would
enforcing it,
be up,
because
no, then it would be up to the carriers.
you could do it that way.
Because if you're on a family plan, the carriers know that you've got 5 phones, you, your
Hmm.
wife, and 3 children. What are the ages of those children? Okay, well, these 3 numbers are restricted from.
Yeah, you could actually do it that way. You can now have them set up that way. You could take, like, if you go into US Cellular, Verizon, or something like that, say you're going to have a kid on the plan, they can literally limit what they can do on the phone. They will go in, they will program it. They'll do things like Light 360, the Google Family Plan, which all are free. Google Life, I think it is. And there's other ones where if your child goes into, say, your app store on their phone and tries to download something, if it's rated anything other than Y, which is youth, it automatically sends you an email that you have to log on, look at it, and give them permission to download it. Otherwise, they can't download it. So there's a lot of places that are putting that stuff out there. But it comes down to at home. If you're going to allow your child to be on with unrestricted access on Facebook, they're going to start asking questions. They're going to start maybe trying the stuff that they see on Facebook. The only person you have to blame is yourself as a parent, in my book, because there are less. And you know me, I'm black and white. I have no gray area, Vincent. There are less lazy ways to get around things if you actually just set it up right, and nobody is going to get hurt. You would be shocked. 3-4 years ago, I did a show and went over the whole thing of how many people were, quote unquote, underage victims of human trafficking or abduction through social media, and every one of them had an unrestricted account. Not one was set up with an umbilical to a parent's account.
Henceforth, then
That's
that really
sad.
becomes the parents' fault. The parents,
Yep.
technically, they assisted in that ill behavior or the evil to come into their child's life.
Absolutely. And you know what's sad is that's the era we live in now. It's okay, if I want some peace and quiet, I chuck a tablet, a phone, or whatever, let my child play on it just to keep them company so I can have 20 minutes to myself. Well, guess what? a parent, it don't work that way. I get everybody needs a break, but hey, there are less threatening ways to do it because right now, and it has been since it launched, the internet is unbridled. It's an unbroke stud stallion just running at Mach speed, and it's only going to get worse because
It's the Wild West.
they can't. Yeah, it is literally. We thought space was the final frontier. No, it's this. It is the internet because it is so unpredictable. It adapts and overcomes every day,
You would think
and
that,
AI is going to make it worse.
right? And you would think that just people like ourselves who are reaching out to the 3 or 4 that are watching right now and the 5 or 6 later on, so on and so forth. It's like, to me, it's a chain link progression. You got to pass this information on.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
let people know it's up to them to, if you tell two, two will tell two, so on and so forth. You can get this message out because
Yep.
really, with what's happening right now in our country alone, I mean, all these young kids, they think they're going to be TikTok famous. Oh, I think it's Fans Only is another one, but that's more of an X-rated site, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yep.
Yep. And they think they're going to be famous because they're exposing themselves. And the younger generation today, it's so sad,
Hi,
but it's
Shelly and
true.
Richie.
I wonder what SYSIYO means.
I'm not sure. I'm hoping it says hello.
Hey, Richie, what's going on?
And
The
honestly,
whole-
you're absolutely right. And what it's going to come down to is I'm going to personally charge every one of my viewers that are loyal to this show, the Paramistic channel, and the Common Denominator uh, broadcast channel all together. I am personally making a charge out to you guys if your kids are below the age of 16. Take them off of Facebook, restart the Facebook, set it up under a kid's account because it's tethered to your personal Facebook. You know what they're doing, where they're at, what they're looking up. They have to have permission to play certain games or to watch certain videos, things like that. Also, get Google Family. Google Family is an app. You can set it up if your kid's got a tablet, cell phone, things like that. You install it on their phone. They have to have your permission. They go into the Google App Store, they try to download something, it automatically sends you a message or an email stating so and so is trying to download this game at such and such time. You click on that, it'll show you all the reviews of the game, and you can approve it or reject it, whether they're at school and you're at work or they're sitting on the couch right next to you. You have control over what they are watching. Put that control in your hands personally for your child. Be that protective hand. Don't let someone else have the sleight of hand and be unprotective to your child and put them at risk.
with what you're just now saying, Dave, I can't even. I gotta say thank you because several years ago, the big question, for instance, that I would listen to news media ask is, what's wrong with our country? When they're talking about the carjackings and the gangs and all the thugging and so on and so forth. And I kept saying it's a fractured foundation of family. What
Mhm.
better way to get the foundation back again than to have more parents realize they just can't let their kids off the leash onto the internet, flat out.
Yep.
Anyone
I
under
and
18.
Yep, and like Shelly and Richie say, yes, even though schools say you don't have the rights, in certain schools you do. And granted, she's a rhino, and I can't stand her. Our governor is a Republican, signed into law where parents have the final say on their school education, even in a public school system. No one can tell a parent via a school board, etc., on what our kids can and cannot do and what we do and do not want them to do. If we tell them flat out no access to internet, they have to respect that or they're in violation of a state law. now. Now all states aren't like that, but I kind of like to think if there's enough of persuasion at home and explanation, like sit the kid down and say, hey, there's dangerous people out there. They infiltrate and kind of invade like shadows. Not trying to scare them, but or give them a complex, but just say, even in kids shows. So we want to make sure you guys are safe. So we're going to implement this. And it's a double protective thing. So if you have your cell phone and say you're at your friends and they show you a new game, you want to download it and play against them while you guys are there together, it automatically sends it to me and I can say whether it's okay or not. Plus, at the same time, it pinpoints where you are if something were to happen to you, if you got lost. Because honestly, that is the biggest thing. I was an 80s kid. I knew I had to be home as soon as the street lights turned on. I rode a bike with no helmets, all that stuff, but we can't do that anymore. We can't run rampant because you don't know who's lurking around the other corner. While Apple has the AirTag, yes, put it on the inside of your child's shoe. Put it in the toe. If you get an Apple AirTag, put it in the toe. I cannot stand Apple, but if that is your choice, that is your choice. It's a tracking tag. You can find where that child is. You can get them in bundles of 5. Put one in the shoe, put one in a backpack, put one on the back of the phone. Because honestly, it's all it is the Apple symbol. Maybe people, whoever's trying to abduct them, or if they're lost, they don't know what that is. It might just be a sticker or a token. And do the best to protect our children is honestly the biggest thing, because they're the future. And we created this cyber mess. It's gotten worse since the internet launched. Everything has gotten worse. You'd hear about stuff in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and early 90s, but once the internet ramped up, maybe it's chain line of communication and ready access at the fingertips, but there's more crime now than there was in the 70s through the early 90s. And it's sad. And it all boils down to one culprit: the internet. There was a mother, I forget what state it was in. She was on trial for involuntary manslaughter because her child went to school, shot up a school, and the mother didn't do anything about it. She got charged. She
2
was not
years.
Yep, she was not monitoring his online content and stuff like that. And
And yeah, but indirectly, didn't he get the gun off of her because it wasn't secured properly?
yes. Yep. So it puts them at second hand to blame. So definitely protect your children. Um Other thing is, and a lot of people are going to love this because I already do, the FCC is voting to ban scam robocalls that use AI generated voices. So basically, the FCC is making it to where they cannot robocall you and it just be a computer on the other end of the line. If they do, they are automatically on a ban list. I would love that because I get about 800 in a day and I hate it.
Wow. Yeah, I get a lot of
I
spam calls too.
I hinted at this one on Truck It earlier in the week. Cyber attack on a Chicago children's hospital has it shut down its systems for a whole week. So they're trying to restore their computer systems for nearly a week after a cybersecurity incident prompted them to shut down its entire network. The Children's Hospital says the outage has affected email, phones, and some other electronic systems. The hospital remains operational, but it said the outage has made scheduling, accessing patients' medical records, and prescription history difficult for the staff. See, this is the issue with not having a paper backup. You don't have a paper backup, and it's all on a computer, and their they dump their servers. Guess what? They don't know what you're allergic to. They don't know what reactions you've had to medication. And we're talking about kids here. Sick babies that benefit from that hospital that's completely shut down. Who knows if they have cancer? What's their special treatment? I don't know. I can't access the file on the computer. Well, don't you have a backup chart? No, we don't. And that's the age that we live in. And the children are paying for it. Always back it up. God, AI. I'm so sick of hearing about it. London's underground is testing real-time artificial intelligence surveillance tools to spot crime. So thousands of people using the London Underground train had their movements, behavior, body language watched by AI surveillance software designed to see if they were committing crimes or were in unsafe situations. The machine learning software was combined with live closed circuit TV footage to try to detect aggressive behavior, guns, knives being brandished, as well as looking for people falling onto the tube tracks or dodging fares. Okay, so I know in the United States we already have robo police. They're called speed cameras. That way, the cop can sit back at his desk and drink his coffee, stuff his face with a donut, and not get up and go actually patrol his streets and radar. Do they need it in bigger cities? Probably, yeah. And uncontrolled intersections are very busy. I get that. Yes. You're talking AI is going to be watching me on a train. If I trip and fall into somebody, it's going to flag that. When I said, excuse me, pardon me, I did not mean to fall into you. I tripped and everything's good. And all of a sudden, I got 15 officers bearing down on me saying you assaulted somebody. Come on now. I don't see that going anywhere. So I've said it before. I'll say it 5 million times. If you have WhatsApp, get rid of it. I've explained how it works and integrates with stealing data, recording, things like that. What's even worse is now WhatsApp chats will soon work with encrypted messaging apps. So, Messenger for Facebook, iMessage, Signal, um, as well as Snapchat. It's going to infiltrate and integrate with all of those, including Telegram. And anybody that's been watching every one of my shows knows that every one of those have been in the news. Telegram, WhatsApp, iMessage, Facebook Messenger have had a lot of issues with data breaches, stealing people's contacts, things like that. You want to stay out of that. Do not link anything to WhatsApp. Not good.
We just
Okay,
actually,
so the other thing is the Pentagon. What was that, Vince?
I said we just saw that, but I got a glitch and a half over here. Yeah, we just said we were just talking about the
Oh,
WhatsApp.
it probably does. My internet's been going crazy. The Pentagon tried to hide that it bought Americans' data without a warrant. United States officials fought to conceal details of arrangements between U.S. spy agencies and private companies tracking the whereabouts of Americans via their cell phones. Obtaining location data from U.S. phones normally requires a warrant, but police and intelligence agencies routinely paid companies instead for the data, effectively circumventing the courts. Vincent,
Yes.
my brother in constitutional truths and consequences, why is this a bunch of horseshit on the Pentagon side?
You are actually going to have to repeat that because I've been in the middle of doing something. Say this again, repeat it. I just want to make sure I've got it.
So, the Pentagon was paying for Americans' data. They bought it from agencies, private sector companies, and police and things like that. And
Well,
they said that, which normally you can't do it via cell phone without a warrant. And they found a way by paying the companies directly for the information, so they benefited to circumvent the courts.
which means they've invaded your privacy and your personal rights, and that is against your against your constitutional rights. So when the BOA, in fact, it was Bank of America, that's one of the biggest banks that actually did that with the FBI around the January 6th insurrection, which is a joke. It's not an insurrection; it's a bunch of yahoos. A sightseeing tour, an unofficial sightseeing tour. But they did that. They stole people's personal information, and you can't do that. You just cannot do that. And that means, really,
For
when you
one,
think about it, I would like to think that there would be a class action suit somewhere along the way from everyone with Bank of America to say, "Hey, we're not going to put up with this malarkey."
Yep.
But once it's
And as
there,
far as the Pentagon, I guarantee you they're going to seek immunity.
On what
Because they get it
ground?
from the CIA. They get it document. They're going to make something up. That's nothing new.
Well, that's just it. See, that's where our constitutional rights have been destroyed because, again, too many lawyers. And I'm going to say this: there are lawyers that are good, and I call them sharks, and then there are lawyers that are bad, and I call those the bottom feeders. And these bottom feeders, all throughout DC, the Pentagon, different three-letter agencies, these bottom feeders are destroying our constitutional rights.
Yep.
And in this case here, it's a prime example. And that's a whole banking industry. How many millions of clients do you think they have worldwide?
Geez, I can only imagine.
I remember
and
back in, you're younger than me.
What's sad is Biden pushed that Freedom of Information Act. Everybody's got a right to access the internet.
Yeah.
Why? Why do they want to give everybody the internet? Think about it.
Yeah. Well, there's certain people shouldn't have it because as well as I do, they've got nefarious plans with it. They want to do something bad. They want to abuse the privilege.
Yeah, but what better way to circumvent the law and the courts and everybody's time to be able to turn around and collect it with mere cents on the dollar their own way.
Yeah. Back in the 70s, you're too young to know this, and I mean, not know this, you're too young to have gone through the classes I went through, obviously. Hey, you weren't even born, right?
84.
Okay, there you go. So in 74, 75, I was in psychology classes. We were informed at that time that by the time we die, and of course, we're thinking, when are we going to die? That's going to be like hundreds of years from now. We didn't have the concept, but our teachers were teaching us that before we died, the United States FBI would have a minimum of 125 facts on who we were. And we were actually now get this. We were asked in like 74, 75 to make a list of what you think the FBI would want to know about you. So we wrote things like our addresses, where we went to school at, the cars we would own, where the homes we would buy, so on and so forth, our education. So we couldn't even come up with probably 40, maybe 50. And now they've got thousands of facts
Oh
on
yeah.
probably each one of them.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, they know when we fart, they know when we pick our nose, they know when we clean our ears. Not that I do any of that stuff, folks. I don't do that. Um, but seriously, I mean, they know everything about us now.
It's scary.
Yes. Big Brother 1984 watching us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes. Other
And bye,
things I want
and
to.
bye, Richie. Thank you.
Oh yeah,
We
Shelly
got
and
to get
Richie.
going.
Yep. And they can everybody can always come back and watch it again. But definitely, guys, go through, change your password to Facebook every couple of months if you can. Write it down if you have to, where it's going to be safe. Uh, just protect yourself, like Sally wanted to know. How do I change it? You guys can message me or message the common denominator in chat time anytime with a computer question like that, and I will guarantee you I will find a root and a cause. Vincent's been in Facebook jail about 6 times in the last 3 months, and I've got him back up every time.
Wiped out. All my accounts have been wiped out. You know that. Actually, it wasn't jail. They just kept asking for my driver's license. I'm not
Yep.
liking that, folks. I've had to give them my driver's license to look at.
Yep. Prove who you are.
And they say they're going to, by the way, they tell you that they will destroy that information. That they will destroy that
It's all
information.
encrypted data. It's all encrypted data. It's all little ones and zeros. All it takes is for someone to intercept a certain part of that message and piece it all back together. It's out in cyberspace.
And who the hell would want to do that to begin with? But bad people.
Yep.
You know?
That's true. So, do you want to tell everyone what we got coming up on let's see here. What it'll be? It'll be Wednesday, right? Yeah, Wednesday. Wednesday night at 5:00.
You've heard of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, right, Dave?
Oh, yes, I have.
Okay, great movie. Richard Dreyfuss, he was selected by the end to take off into space. Well, folks, I've never been in that position. Have you, Dave? Have you ever gone off into space? Anal probe or anything like that?
No, I tend to keep that part stitched up.
Well, you've actually you've met Voltaire for a moment.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I mean you've met pieces of him because he doesn't come together all at once, but eventually he does. And yeah, Voltaire has been watching what's going on here on Mother Earth. And folks, I'm going to tell you flat out, he's coming to a. Well, how would you put that, Dave? He's coming to a.
He's coming to inundate and hijack our network
Pretty
and have
much.
his own show. He actually sent me a promo I should play.
Now, that probably wouldn't be a bad deal. I
All
can't wait
right,
to meet this cat myself.
I know
We've
he's gonna be
spoken, but
something
that's
else.
about it. Through the internet.
Yep. Here we go.
You know, this guy just zips in and out.
Oh man, he's scary. I tell you what.
I thought we were going to have him for a moment last week, and you know, you that message. You know, he's got a message for us. I thought it was going to be a massage.
Massage. Oh Lord.
Let's hope he doesn't rub us the wrong way.
Yes,
Or
I
we
agree.
him. We him for sure.
Well, being an extraterrestrial, I don't know if he follows the same bylaws or even knows what to expect, because we have algorithms down here. It's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's going to be a different kind of thing. I wonder what tickles his fancy the most. I wonder what tickles his fancy the most. I'm just wondering whether we're going to be. I wonder if we're worthy of it. I really am, Dave. I'm wondering.
We must be. He picked us.
That's true. That's true. And he's been kind and he's been nice about it. That's the whole thing. He hasn't twisted my arm or your arm, I don't think.
No. I actually had some cooperation with the video production.
Wow.
So
what do they all look like? Can you describe these little things? Or are they big things?
Kind of silver.
Okay.
Weird voice. Can't really see them. They usually wear a helmet, but it'll be interesting.
Wow. Yes.
And there better not be no probing involved. I am not built for that. My antivirus software will not allow it. No backdoor intruders.
Well, that one part of the video that they released to you, I remember I said when it looked like it was going through the intestinal intestines itself. I mean, the twists and turns. I'm like, oh my God, this is just scaring the hell out of me. You know, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to be part of the experimental probe of humans. You know, there's a lot of them out there that this guy and his clan should get a hold of. I think anyway. Definitely not me.
Very much so.
Yeah.
But
what's that? A little robot next to you?
Yeah. Hatchling. I wanted to let everybody know next Thursday at 1:00, our sister network, the Paramystic, will have the Archbishop Matthias on again. I have a promo made for that. The first time he was on, it was an awesome turnout. I believe, don't hold me to it, but I believe he is the youngest ever Archbishop over in Holland. And he's phenomenal. He's a really good cat to talk to. He'll be live with Odd. Usually I'm on the Paramystic Church with him, but I will be producing it from my phone because I've got appointments that day. So here is the promo for that.
If I didn't think I'd know better, I thought I was at the Vatican, dude.
Do you want to know something? I actually play that on the synthesized keyboard and recorded it.
That wasn't Johann Bach?
No, that was me playing with a pipe organ as the master and the church organ as a second accompaniment.
Sweet. Sweet. I'm thinking to myself, was that Bach or I thought it was
No,
Sebastian Bach.
it's the hymn "Holy, Holy, Holy."
Ah, okay.
I
Well,
have I have recorded Amazing Grace, like 15 different renditions. I have In the Garden, How Great Thou Art, Old Rugged Cross, a
right
lot of
on.
them. But well, thanks for
Well,
hanging out. I think we answered everybody's questions as far as computer wise. So unless anybody has any more, I am going to sign off. I'm going to play our master outro, which is combined the shows on here on the common denominator as well as the Paramystic channel. We have on Tuesdays we have Truck It with Mama Sally and Chad Candy at 7 o'clock. Wednesdays we have Constitutional Truths and Consequences with Vincent, and that starts at 5. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 2 hours. And then on Fridays at 5, you have Cyber Warfare, and then you will have usually at 7, you will have, and these are all Central Standard Time. You will have the logbook, and if the logbook's not on Friday nights, then we'll try and find a pre-recorded to go on in its stead, so that isn't a vacant spot. So
and we've
my
got
goal,
Odd, and you've got Odd and Sally
yep,
underneath our
odd,
wings.
yep. Sally is on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock, and then Odd is on Thursdays at 1. But we'll have the Paramystic Church this week. And I want to let everybody here know it is my personal goal that if we have a show that cannot go on live, I am personally going to then try and find a pre-recorded from back in the archives to play in its place so that we no longer have any dead spots. We have some sort of content getting out there at some point because our hosts need to take breaks sometimes too. So feel free, share this stuff out, guys. Get it out there that we've got to get these kids off these unrestricted Facebooks. They are not adults. Sign them up for kids' Facebook where it's tethered to your primary Facebook, and it shows that you're a parent or guardian. So,
And you're doing that for them, folks. You're doing it for them, their protection. If you
yep,
don't do it, and something happens, then you can ask people for all the help you want, but you could have already taken that first precautionary measure. And that's the
yep.
whole thing. If you
It's
would just take
it,
that one step, could stop a lot of it, a tremendous
it's
amount of it.
it's always better to play a what if scenario and fix it beforehand than do nothing and have an I wish scenario afterwards.
The woulda, couldas, and shouldas,
Mm-hmm.
because that's really what happens when your child ends up dead. And I'm going to say it like this: dead, mutilated, pieces, whatever. The wouldas, couldas, and shouldas, and it would have taken you just a little time that you should have done this because you cared enough and you knew that you could do it, and that child still be alive
Absolutely.
today. It's
Yep.
still seriously. I know it sounds cold and callous, Dave. Am I right? I do sound kind of
It
cold and
does, but
callous. I don't mean to.
honestly, it's reality anymore.
Yeah.
It's how the world is working, and the safety of our children online has got to be the utmost important. We cannot rely on these overinflated, slobbish, cake eating, overfed, overpaid CEOs of freaking Meta and every other cyber network crapshoot to try and stand up and do what we need to do at home, because they don't give a crap.
No, they don't.
They've got their sponsors. They don't give two shits who they lose off of there, because guess what? Somebody's gonna sign up for it eventually. This man that created Facebook stole the app from his and the idea from his college roommate and became a multi-billionaire in one day. You really think he gives two shits about our kids?
Is that the true story behind Zuck? You are talking Zuckerberg, right?
Mm-hmm. He stole the idea. He was in college.
And someone else came up with the idea and he stole it completely.
He stole it from him, yes.
Did he ever give him any recognition?
And did the guy ever patented? The story goes he stole it. It wasn't patented. It wasn't copyrighted yet. They had worked a little bit of it together and stuff like that. Zuckerberg goes out, gets all the patents and everything, finds his sponsors, takes it from him, launches it. It's been history ever since. And this guy is a dirty cat. He's a dirty cat. He is in front of Congress committees, inquisition committees, at least 2 to 3 times every year since this is launched.
Well, you did see him the last time he was in a committee, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
He actually apologized to the families that have lost their children too. Everything from sex to fentanyl, you name it. You know, doing the drug deals on Facebook. You know, getting stolen, kidnapped on Facebook, and you know, all he could do is stand up and say, "I'm sorry," but we're working on things and investigating to make it even. We're investing ourselves to making this product even safer. And the sickest part about it is, it's like someone mentioned, he could have taken $14 billion that day and said to the families, I want to offer this into a foundation to help each and every one of you. Not that the money can replace your child, but you guys have organizations I'm sure you want to work with. You know, children that have gone through stuff that need the counseling, the finances behind. Boom. Let me help you out. He wouldn't do it. That was just a drop in the bucket. 14 billion he could have, and that would have been, I think that's like 1/10 of what he's actually worth.
Do you know what he is worth as of February 2024?
No.
$165.3 billion.
Now, see, that was just 2 weeks ago. He was in that inquisition, and they figured 10% was 140. So he's already made 20 billion in about 2 weeks from what you've just said, technically.
Yeah. Last week, remember, I reported on that, where in one day he made what was it?
$28 million an hour over lunch.
$28 billion from breakfast to lunch.
Million, yeah.
You're telling me this guy cares about the safety and of our kids online?
Nah. It's sad. Dave, thank you for asking me to come on, man.
Yeah, I loved it. And anybody, message the Paramystic, message the Common Denominator, message me. I will do everything I can to figure out your tech issues. If I do not have the answer for it, I'll make one up for you that'll work just the same.
Right on.
So in the meantime, stay tuned, because we have a re-air of the show with me and Vincent on Constitutional Truths and Consequences on at 7. Until then, I will see you all later. Thank you, Vincent.
If the logbook doesn't show up. Wow, look at all the lights just came on.
I don't know. We might have to come over and do a cleaning of the house. Spiritual cleaning.
Yeah.
If the logbook does not come on, yes, then that show will air. But in the meantime, coming from me, Godfather out.
Hey, Drew just asked you, do you re-air all shows?
I'm going to start rotating, so when we do not have a show, I can start doing that. I might start dedicating Monday to re-airs.
Nighty night, Sally. Thank you.
Yes, good night, ladies. All right, guys. I'm out.